their name. However, that's Reverend Milton Brunson and his choir. And the name of that song is one of my absolute favorites, by the way. But the name of that one is entitled I'm Available to You. All right. I'm available to you. All right, friends, it is time for our word of encouragement. And so I want us to go ahead and dive right on into this. When we last talked on Monday, I was talking about your calling. I was talking about your calling, walking in your calling and receiving said calling and just, all of that. And there's a couple of things that I want to address and a couple of things that I want to point out and talk about and all of that. And so let me just dive into those things real quickly. First off, when we left off on Monday, when we were talking about your calling, I talked about how many of you have tried to I'll say it the best with mute, dampen, turn down the voice of God or the call that is on and in your life. And you've used so many other things in order to do it. Like I said, I remember at one point I used TV and movies and everything else, like that, in order to dampen it. And that's how I would escape it. I would escape it through, the TV. I would escape it through and then I would come home from work and other stuff, and I would just turn on the television and I would watch TV, or I would, watch movies. I have a pretty large DVD collection, and it would be even bigger, but I lost a few of my DVDs to some friends along the way. But that's fine and dandy. And so I used to, when I didn't have cable, if I didn't have anything else, I would put on my DVDs and I would watch DVDs. I have I remember one point I went through and watched Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, and 3 because I have the whole set, right? I will watch Die Hard because I'll watch each one of them because I have the whole set. I would just go back and these are all movies that I'd seen multiple times before. But excuse me, and I would just put them on because I said, well, at least I can like I said, just do that, and it would help to if I was focusing on anything else, because here's how my mind works. Here's how my mind works when I've got so much going on in my head, when I'm hearing so much, when I've got all these different things. I know that one way to kind of tune these things out and one way to make my brain shut off is to turn on what they call the idiot box. Yeah. I just turn on the TV and I don't put on anything intellectual, nothing intellectual whatsoever, right? And so I just put on something that I can watch. I don't have to even think much, and it just, and sometimes cartoons would work. Come home, put on some, what I'm saying? Have you ever been in that place where you've tried to mute and dull and dampen the voice of God, the calling that is on your life? And I got to a point into a place to where I did not want to hear, I did not want to see, I did not, and I want to encourage you, there is a great work for you to do. There is a great work for you to do. And I said it Monday and I'm going to say it again. It is not always that work leads to the pulpit. It doesn't. Listen, I thank God for every preacher, for every pastor and all that who dots the pulpit and who stands behind that podium and who rightly divides the word of truth. But can I tell you that God needs some people in everyday commonplaces, right? He needs some people outside of the four walls. He needs some people out there who challenge, who challenge conventional thinking and conventional preaching, who challenge and say, you know what, I'm not necessarily sure if I agree. And I'm referring to a comment that somebody shared with me the other day. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with the way that everything is presented and put together in this book. But what I do believe, I believe in Jesus. I believe in God. God needs people like you. God needs people. Listen, challenge the conventional and challenge people to get into a relationship. That's one of the biggest things I think that I'm or any preacher, minister could do is challenge you not to conform to a religion, not to conform to a doctrine, but to let me kind of rephrase that. Not see we get caught up, I think, in different places. We want to teach on the doctrine of this, the doctrine of that, and all that doctrine is great and good. I'm not against doctrine. You must have even sound doctrine. But what we have to challenge people to, that is something real and tangible that they can hold on to when doctrine isn't working for them, when religion isn't working for them, and all hell is breaking through in their life, and we need a relationship. And so God is calling for, this is the generation, I believe, where God is calling for some people who don't look like me, who can't, who can go to places that I can't go to, who can talk to some people that don't necessarily always talk to me. I mean, you have to get into a position and a place to where you recognize and you realize, yes, there is a calling on my life. And yes, I can accept that and acknowledge that. And with that calling, that means that wherever I am, that means with wherever God sends me, whomever God sends me to, I'm going to share the gospel. I'm going to share the good news of who Jesus is. Not just, what I've heard about him, but what I've experienced myself. And I think that so many times the reason why so many people get turned away from the calling, they get turned away from whatever it is that God has for them to do, is because they've only ever seen it done through the church and in the pulpit. But God needs some soldiers. God needs and is calling for a generation of people who are willing to go into the highways and to the byways and to compel them to come into the house, the house being the ark of safety, being a relationship with Jesus. The whole point and the whole reason why God gave the Israelites, the children of Israel, as they were wandering in the wilderness after they had come out of Egypt, the whole reason why he set up the tabernacle, the whole reason why he had them go through those rituals and those ceremonies was because he was trying to get them back to a point where they had relationship. They had been out of relationship. They had been out of communion with him. They had been out of fellowship with him. And he said, I've got to bring them back. And God has been trying to bring so many of us back. But we have thought for so long, oh, if I go, they're going to try to put me in the pulpit. Oh, if I go, they're going to try to, and then they're going to tell me because I'm a woman, I can't preach. They're going to, listen, I don't care about none of that. If you're a woman, God's called you. If you're a man, God's called you. If you're a child, God's called you. It doesn't matter where you find yourself in life. I want you to know that God is calling you. And he needs you to be available right where you are. That's why I played that song. It's because God is waiting for some folks who are going to be available and say, God, I'm not perfect. I struggle from time to time, but God, I place all of that in your hands and I say, use me. mold me, make me into what you would have me to be. I'm telling you, you think that because of the things that you've done, you think that because of who you did it with and the places you've been, all that discredits you, but that makes your testimony more valuable. That makes your testimony more real to people. When people can look at you and say, "You've been through all that?" And you say, "Yeah, I've been through it. But let me tell you about what God did for me when I was at my lowest point and I was thinking about, or I even tried to commit suicide or tried to do this or tried to do that." Then I was just watching. I turned on or opened up the Instagram app, right? And as soon as I opened the app, it showed me a clip from Lecrae's, I guess, podcast or whatever he's doing now, right? And there was a young lady on there, and I was like, I don't know who this young lady is. But, she was talking about, or Lecrae had actually said, you had OnlyFans and this, that, and that. She was like, yeah, and I was making millions, and he was like, well, tell people, this, that, and the other, and whatever about the strip life and the this to that. And what was it that made you change? And she was like, yeah, I went from this, that, and the other to one day I just decided that for my birthday, I wanted to be baptized, and I was trying to get into a church and all of that. And I was like, who is this young? Why is she of any importance? But then he showed what she used to look like. And I said, oh, I've seen her before. I don't remember her name, mind you, but I've seen her before. She used to be in the videos and all that. And she was, I think, was a rapper or something. I don't know. I'm still not fully sure, but I know I've seen her before, right? And I was like, man, I wonder how many people have seen, heard, and know her story and her testimony. And I imagine that there is a group of people who followed her, who now have heard her story, who now see where she is and what she's trying to do and how she's taken off all the extra enhancements and stuff that she had. And she's just like, I just want to serve the Lord. You see, she has her own effective, I'm calling it effective, even though I don't know it's fully effective, because I believe from what I saw that her walk with the Lord has now become genuine. I believe that she's really seeking after him. And anytime that you are genuine about it, there's got to be some effectiveness to it, because you can't help but when it's genuine, when it's real. Ray Charles, they had him do that Pepsi commercial back in the day. I remember that he said, ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. And when you have the real, genuine, authentic relationship, ain't nothing like it, and nothing can beat that. And so I just believe that this young lady's witness is effective. And again, it's not necessarily effective to me because I barely know who she is, but maybe to the folks who followed her, to the folks who knew her, it's effective. And your ministry, your calling could be just the same if you stop running. If you stop trying to numb the pain and numb the voice of God and numb, all of what you're hearing and seeing, if you would stop trying to numb that and say, okay, God, I trust you. I'm gonna just do it, how I see fit. I'm telling you, one of the reasons why I believe Toby Wigway has been so the reason why I believe he's been able to go as far as he has and do all the things that he's done is because, one, he's always been real, true, genuine, and authentic about his love and his relationship with the Lord and his love for his family. People try to doubt it, try to discredit it, but he just continues on. And he just holds steadfast to his faith. He stands steadfast to his family. And God just keeps on blessing him. And I want to encourage you, the same could be true for you. The same can happen for you. But first, you have to surrender your all and just say, Lord, look, take me as I am. I'm going to close with this. So many people say, I'm gonna come after, or I'll give my life, or I'll answer the call, after I get everything right. But listen, let me tell you, Let me tell you a secret, something that I've learned along the way, and I'm not saying this to brag, but I'm just trying to make it plain. I've been in ministry for 31 years now, right? And in these 31 years, what I have come to see, what I've come to learn is that if you had a slick tongue as a person in the world, if you were the type of person in the world that you could talk to anybody, this, that, and the other, and God still uses that same thing. He just knows how to take that gift and clean it up. Where you used it for manipulation and you used it for your own gain and good, or ill will, however you want to call it, back when before you accepted your calling and you accepted who God was as your Lord and Savior, who he is rather as your Lord and Savior, before you did all that, whatever it is that is a part of you, God doesn't say, come here and I'm going to take all of that out of you. God says, come here and let me perfect you. Let me perfect you. Yeah, God knows how to take all of that. He cleans it up and he perfects you. And you still use that same ability, that same charm to be able to grab people and talk to them and all that. He still uses that. I'm telling you, I'm a living witness. I've always been able to just talk, to anybody. And God gave me this stature, this frame that I've got of 6'9", 300 plus pounds. He gave me all of this. And I used to get irritated back in my younger days. I lie. I was never irritated, but when people would just come up and start talking to me about my height, this, that, and the other, sometimes I'd be like, man, y'all don't have to talk to me. But no, God gave me this frame so that when white, black, young, old, whoever comes and talks to me, I talk with them. And when the opportunity is there, I share the light of Jesus Christ with them. Because what I recognize and what I realize, what I understand is that I am a vessel full of power with a purpose from the Lord. And so I just say, Lord, have your way. Yeah. I just want you to know that you are a vessel full of power with a purpose from the Lord. All right, friends. Listen, I want to encourage you. God is reaching out to you. I believe he's calling you. And I want to play this song for you. This is one of my absolute favorites. It is by none other than Micah Stampley, and it's entitled The Corinthian Song. So let me play that for you now. Here it is on I Am Encouraged Radio on 93.5 KPPM.